Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to really blow the lid off the definition of the word network. For years, we've used that term to mean devices connected by Wi-Fi or cables.
Sure, your laptop, your phone.
Exactly. But the technologies we are looking at today extend that network far beyond your phone. They're embedding it deep inside the human body, right down to the cellular and molecular level.
And that's really where the mission for this deep dive begins, because our sources, they reveal this profound and honestly a somewhat unsettling paradox. You have these highly advanced technological infrastructures being developed, often at the same time, for two completely opposed purposes. On one side, you have stunning personalized healthcare.
Right. Early disease detection, saving lives.
All of that. And on the other...
The other side is, well, it's the exact same foundational networks, the same data collection points, even some of the same hardware, being integrated directly into these huge clandestine surveillance operations.
An irregular warfare strategy. This isn't just a theory. I mean, this is happening right now. Wow.
It is. So our task is to unpack this dual-use reality by focusing on three converging pillars. First, there's the body area network itself, the physical sensor layer.
Okay.
Second, the massive security and data architecture built to ingest all this information.
And the third.
And finally, the programming layer, which uses synthetic biology to literally write code for living cells. The aha moment for you, the listener, should be realizing that the system monitoring your heart rate for health is structurally identical to the system monitoring human reaction for intelligence purposes.
Okay, let's dive into that first pillar then. The body as the new network. If you study networking basics, you learn about the physical layer, the wires, the cables.
The cyber optics, yeah.
But when we talk about a body area network or a BAN, the physical layer is, in fact, literally your skin. And the tissues right underneath it.
It's a complete cyber-physical system. I mean, these sensors are designed to be low power, often disposable or even implanted, and they're just constantly collecting vital data.
Temperature, blood pressure, oxygen saturation, glucose, you name it. This system is the basis of what we call medical body area networks, or MBANs.
And we've been using this technology for a while, right? I think the sources mention the FCC carved out dedicated spectrum for MBNs, over a decade ago?
That's right.
So it wasn't science fiction back then, it was just sound clinical planning.
It really was, and the clinical payoff is huge.
Yeah.
These small, unobtrusive monitors, they let patients be untethered from all that massive hospital equipment.
So they get better care at home.
Exactly. And the financial projections alone are, well, they're eye-watering. Some studies suggest MBN monitoring could save an average of $12,000 per patient.
$12,000? How?
Just by reducing things like hospital-acquired infections, simply because you have this constant early intervention outside of that really expensive acute care setting.
So we start with a clear win for humanity. Better health, lower costs. It makes perfect sense. But the network doesn't stop at the skin, does it? Or even with traditional sensors.
No. This is where it goes truly next level.
Which is?
The Internet of Bio-Nanothings, the IOBNT. This is the goal of true convergence. We're talking about establishing a connection between your biological cells and the Internet using molecular communication.
Molecular communication.
Yes, so bio-nanosensors that communicate using chemical signals, not just radio waves.
That sounds like something straight out of a blockbuster movie. Are there any real examples of this? I mean, something connecting cellular chatter to an external network right now?
Absolutely. One example from the research is a system called Panacea. It's a sub-millimeter implantable bioelectronic device.
Sub-millimeters, so tiny.
Almost invisible. And its job is to detect infection levels by listening to the molecular communication within the cells. It decodes that biological chatter and translates it into data points.
Okay, just stop and think about that complexity for a second. You have these highly regulated, dedicated medical devices running on specific frequencies, monitoring data at the cellular level, and then they need to connect to the broader world. What happens when that regulated tech hits the standard, unregulated IT network of a hospital or a home?
That creates a monumental headache. It's a massive regulatory gap that the sources identify again and again.
Because medical devices are strictly governed
by bodies like the FDA for safety and efficacy. But a standard IT network, the Wi-Fi router in your home, the Ethernet switch in an office, it's not regulated as a medical instrument.
So who's accountable if that regulated medical data gets compromised or altered or even just delayed while it's traveling over an unregulated IT network?
And that is the core tension. If a life-critical sensor is plugged into a hospital's standard IT system, does the entire network infrastructure suddenly become a regulated medical device?
Subject to all the same testing and liability.
Exactly. And industry experts say no, it doesn't. And this creates a legal and ethical void. It makes standardized testing and accountability almost impossible. The potential for a catastrophic error or a compromise is massive.
Because there's no defined wireless medical-grade infrastructure system standard to follow.
There isn't.
That's a huge point of vulnerability. So let's follow that data as it escapes the clinical setting and enters this vast world of centralized surveillance and national security. The moment this incredibly detailed physiological data collected for health is aggregated, the dual-use nature of this whole biocyber interface, it just explodes into view.
It certainly does. We move from monitoring your personal well-being to monitoring entire populations. And the cornerstone of this aggregation, according to our sources, is the Department of Homeland Security's. It's called the Homeland Advanced Recognition Technology System, HART.
And HART is not just some filing cabinet of photos. This is a massive multi-billion-dollar initiative, right? Yeah. Updated to 2025 in our materials.
It is.
And it's designed to aggregate identity data on hundreds of millions of people, over 270 million, and that includes juveniles.
The scale is what's staggering, but so is the depth of the data it collects. It's not just fingerprints and photos.
Okay.
We're talking about DNA, iris scans, voice prints, and a huge volume of behavioral and location data.
Like what you click on, who you talk to.
High-resolution geospatial tracking. And the entire system is engineered with military-grade tech to connect biometrics from federal agencies, local law enforcement, even international partners.
So the body data harvested in Section 1 flows into a database designed for massive-scale identity tracking. And this connects directly into what military strategists are calling cognitive warfare.
Correct. Cognitive warfare is, well, it's essentially targeting the human condition. Our beliefs, our decision-making, our emotional reactions.
And it does that using these converged technologies, mainly AI.
Primarily artificial intelligence, yeah. We aren't just looking at the classic forms of influence here. We are talking about literally logging into human response.
Okay, can you give us an example? How does the intelligence community approach that idea of logging into human response?
Well, one project that's cited is from IRPA, the intelligence community's research arm. It was called Odin. And it involved supplying certain influencers or individuals with apps that allowed them to essentially log into a raw data cube.
What does that even mean?
This system monitored neural network data. It let operators watch human reactions to specific pieces of information in real time. It's about measuring the subtle physical impact of information on a massive scale.
And this kind of operation relies on people staying invisible, doesn't it?
It does.
Which brings us to the operational arm of this clandestine world. Signature reduction. I think most people have never even heard of this term, and the scale is, it's shocking.
It should be shocking. Signature reduction is the Pentagon's secretive undercover force. We're talking an estimated 60,000 personnel.
60,000.
To put that in perspective, that's roughly 10 times the size of the CIA's clandestine element.
Wow.
These are soldiers, civilians, contractors operating globally under completely fabricated identities.
60,000 people maintaining a cover story every single day. How do you possibly manage the logistics of that? I mean, creating a legitimate life credit scores, tax records, official IDs for 60,000 covert assets.
It's a massive logistical undertaking, and it's subsidized by billions in contracting. They call the complete fake existence a legend.
A legend.
Yeah. And contractors are tasked with building and maintaining this legend, making sure that if you check the person's background, their tax records, credit score, educational history, it all checks out perfectly.
They must have to coordinate with government agencies to do that.
They do, with entities like the State Department and DHS to ensure these fake identities are consistent across all the official government databases.
And the sources gave us some fascinating, almost spy thriller level details on how they defeat the biometric systems that are just everywhere now.
Yes, the concept of biometric defeat elements, it's critical for them. They've developed these incredibly sophisticated physical countermeasures.
Like what?
Well, creating highly realistic, customized silicon face appliances to fool facial recognition. And even more detailed, these silicon sleeves, which are impregnated with natural oils and designed to fit perfectly over a real hand.
To spoof fingerprint readers.
To spoof fingerprint readers, exactly. It's a whole industry dedicated to making individuals invisible in a world designed for total transparency.
From biometric sensors on our skin to massive systems designed to defeat those same sensors. Let's pivot now to the final and maybe the most profound pillar, the programming layer. If the body is the network and the security apparatus is the operating system, how do you actually write the code to control biological life?
This is where synthetic biology fully merges with computer science. Back in 2016, researchers at MIT had a breakthrough that made this literal.
What did they do?
They created a functioning text-based programming language specifically for living cells, like common E. coli bacteria or even yeast.
Wait, a programming language we can read and type, like Java or C++T?
Exactly like that. The engineers modeled the language on Verilog, which is a standard language used to program electronic computer chips. This isn't a metaphor. They were translating computer logic directly into DNA sequences.
So what does that mean for someone who wants to write code for a cell?
It means the barrier to entry just plummets. Anyone, even a high school student using a web interface, can type a simple functional command, something like, produce a cancer-fighting drug only when a tumor is detected.
And the system does what?
It compiles that text-based function into the necessary sequence of DNA bases, the G's, C's, A's, and T's that you then insert into the cell.
And once that DNA is inside the cell, it behaves like an organic computer chip.
Precisely. The system encodes logic gates and specialized sensors into the bacteria's DNA. These sensors let the cell detect specific environmental conditions.
Like glucose or light or maybe an acidity level that indicates a tumor.
Exactly. And the logic gates then determine the appropriate response, like producing a therapeutic protein or drug.
This micro-level programming loop it's incredibly powerful. Now let's tie this back to the macro-level data and the prediction models we discussed.
Right.
This molecular-level programming is only truly effective when it's integrated with massive predictive AI.
That's the convergence at its peak. The Internet of Medical Things, or IoMT, is deeply dependent on what's often called the Internet of Virus Things.
What's that?
It's these predictive digital twins that leverage vast historical data sets, some dating back 50 years, from agencies like the Department of War and Department of Energy. They use them to log in and out of the body at the molecular level to anticipate outcomes.
So how accurate are these machine learning models at predicting biological effects? Can you give us an example that really illustrates the power here?
There's one crucial study that looked at over 1,000 experimental case studies over a 25-year period. It focused on the effects of weak radio frequency electromagnetic field, or RF-EMF, exposure on human and animal cells. They used advanced machine learning algorithms, specifically a technique called random forest, to build models that could predict the cellular impact.
And what was the takeaway? What did they find?
The models achieved extremely high predictive power. We're talking approaching 90% accuracy in determining the potential biological impact of that RF-EMF on cells, without needing to perform new lab experiments.
So wait, the AI can now anticipate biological effects based on data parameters alone. It's moving ahead of the physical experiment.
That's the shift. That's exactly it.
That is a huge change in scientific methodology. What did the AI highlight as the strongest factors influencing these cellular changes?
The algorithms identified a very strong correlation between two things: the specific absorption rate, or SAR, which is how much radio frequency energy the body absorbs, and the duration of the exposure to that weak RF-EMF. The prediction model is connecting external environmental factors directly to specific, measurable cellular responses.
This deep dive has covered an incredible distance. I mean, from low-power sensors meant to save a patient thousands of dollars to sophisticated text-based languages that let us reprogram life.
All while feeding massive multi-billion-dollar security apparatuses designed to track or, render invisible 60,000 covert operatives around the globe.
Yeah.
The central dilemma we face couldn't be starker. The very knowledge systems, IOBNT, synthetic biology, predictive ML, that promise these revolutionary health benefits. They are structurally, architecturally intertwined with security systems like HEART and these secretive intelligence operations engaged in signature reduction.
It's the same network.
The network built for your personal health optimization is the same network enabling levels of surveillance and control that were once, completely unthinkable.
So here's the final thought for you to take away. If AI can now predict the precise biological impact of electromagnetic exposure on your cells with near-perfect accuracy, and all the data gathered from your internal body area network feeds vast databases designed for irregular warfare and signature management, what does this convergence mean for the future definition of individual physical and cognitive autonomy? That question isn't abstract anymore. It is written directly into the code of our future.